Hey, welcome. I hope you guys are doing good. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's reading is the person or people on your mind. How are they perceiving you at the moment? So we have three groups for you to choose from: group one, group two, and group three. Please feel free to pause the video if you do need extra time to choose your group, but I will see you in your reading. Hey, welcome. If you've chosen the first group, then this reading could be for you. I hope you guys are doing okay. Thank you so much for joining me. So, to start off, we have the Five of Wands upright, Two of Swords in reverse, and the Five of Swords also in reverse. Okay, so how do they perceive you? It feels like they perceive you as someone that is very stimulating, someone that is hard to ignore. They see you as someone that does challenge them, maybe challenge them to think differently, but it could also be challenging them in ways that make more sense to you and the person or people you are asking about. Okay. But it feels like they see you as someone that has an energy that disrupts stagnation, that encourages movement. They could also perceive you as someone that can sometimes create emotional friction. It doesn't have to be a negative thing, it doesn't even have to be intentional, but in some way they feel you create emotional friction with certain people or with them specifically. But they see you as someone that generally encourages growth, that you are passionate and expressive, and they think that you don't like to be, passive, and for some of you, passive aggressive as well. They feel like you don't like to be that you would rather just be open and direct. They perceive you as someone that is protective over the people they care about, the people you care about. They perceive you as someone that brings vitality and movement into their life. They see you as engaging. They could think that you like to ask questions, or you like to, gain clarity about people or certain situations. And they could also see you as someone that isn't afraid to ask the questions that other people don't ask or can't ask, for whatever reason. But they do perceive you as emotionally intense at times, as someone who is a little more reckless when it comes to certain people than others. They see you as someone that doesn't want to and won't settle for surface level connections, whether that's friendships, work relationships, romantic relationships, family. So yeah, they perceive you as strong-willed for the most part. For some of you, they could perceive you as liking drama. Doesn't have to be in like a negative way. It could be, I don't know, reality TV, for example. I don't know. But yeah, in some way they could perceive you as liking drama. And for some of you, like, they could perceive you as a bit chaotic. But overall, like, they see you as quite honest and transparent. And also as someone that pushes them to confront things, They feel that you don't avoid difficult decisions, communication, or confrontation, that you do kind of just face most things like head on, like without, trying to avoid some things. And for some of you, actually, they could perceive you as being in the midst of a difficult decision. But they see you as someone who doesn't tend to hold back or back down, that you're someone they are possibly holding back with emotionally, that they need time before they do open up with you. It also feels like they see you as someone they are avoiding making a choice regarding you, if that makes sense. I don't think I worded that properly, but it feels like, yeah, they could be avoiding making a choice when it comes to you, that they're a bit indecisive when it comes to you. But on the other hand, they see you as someone who has never held back with them. So yeah, for some of you, they could perceive you as overwhelmed at the moment. They see you as someone that they need to be a bit cautious with, someone who normally expresses what they want, how they feel, what's on their mind. So for some of you, like, even though they don't perceive you as someone who tends to avoid things, they could see you as a bit indecisive when it comes to certain things. But at the same time, like, they do see you as thoughtful. And even though they perceive you as someone who doesn't necessarily hold back, they also feel you're not like too impulsive, like you don't rush into things or rush into decisions, without, thinking it through. So at times they could perceive you as quite harsh, and as someone who's been through a lot of battles. And for some of you, like, they do see you as someone who they want to find resolution with, but they could see you as someone who does like conflict, but at the same time doesn't like conflict, if that makes sense. Like, maybe, different kinds of conflict they feel that you do enjoy or like, and certain, types of conflict that you kind of, don't like. And they could also perceive you as trying to break cycles of conflict within certain situations, maybe certain relationships. And they also perceive you as someone that does try to let go of conflict quite quickly. They also think you are trying to walk away from toxic dynamics at the moment. And they also perceive you as way more reflective than you usually are in their perspective. So moving forward, we have award, accept your well-earned praise. We also have computer, upgrade your mental software. We have move forward. We have let yourself sparkle and shine. And we also have forgiveness heals for how they perceive you. Okay, so with move forward, they perceive you as someone who doesn't like to dwell on things, or someone who just doesn't tend to dwell on things. I think there was a message earlier and it said, I think it was that you kind of can get over conflict, or you like to, something about conflict and getting over it quickly, or it could have been something else. But yeah, they could feel like you don't really like to dwell on things, maybe that you do prefer to move forward. Even if you do participate in conflict and sometimes maybe even seek it out, they could perceive you as doing that for the sake of resolution, you know? With Let Yourself Sparkle and Shine, they do perceive you as someone that does like to stand out. With Accept Your Well Earned Praise, they do perceive you as someone that does like recognition and praise, but also as someone who kind of just receives recognition and praise, maybe for some of the things that you do, you know? So coming back to move forward with Forgiveness Heals, like they do perceive you as someone that can be forgiving. So, you know, going back to the message that came out just a moment ago, they maybe they perceive you as someone who's able to forgive quickly or easily because you do try to seek resolution and you don't try to like hold on to certain things. But either way, they do perceive you as someone that is forgiving. And as well, like they perceive you as someone who doesn't like to hold on to, you know, anger, like who doesn't like to hold on to repressed anger, um, and you know, frustrations, and maybe that's why they kind of just perceive you as someone who who does typically just say what's on their mind instead of like holding it in, you know. And finally, with Computer, upgrade your mental software. They perceive you as someone who's always maybe pushing themselves or just growing and always upgrading, whether that's mentally or, you know, within certain areas of your life. But they do see you as someone that is always growing. But not only that, they also perceive you as someone that pushes them to upgrade. For some of you, it could be mentally or emotionally, and that you have pushed them in certain ways. Yeah, but that is all I have for those of you who chose the first group. I really do hope it could be helpful. I'm wishing you the best. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully, I will see you again soon. Please take care of yourself, okay? Bye. Hey, welcome. I hope you guys are doing okay. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have chosen the second group, then this reading could be for you. I hope you are doing okay. So if you've chosen the second group, how they perceive you, we have the King of Swords, the Lovers, both upright, and the Three of Pentacles in reverse. Okay. So they perceive you as emotionally disciplined, as someone who is a good leader, has a good head on their shoulders, and for some of you, in certain situations, they do perceive you as compliant. Maybe for some of you, like agreeable. Um, but having said that, they also perceive you as someone who does have strong opinions of their own. It's just that they don't really perceive you as confrontational, you know, if that makes sense. So for some of you, they could perceive you as judgmental. And for a lot of you, this doesn't even really feel like it's a negative thing, you know, but they do perceive you as someone that does make, you know, judgments, you know, whatever those might be and whatever situation that might be in. But anyway, so they also perceive you as very discerning, very intelligent, and there's someone that is stimulating, whether that's in conversations or, your energy is just, quite stimulating for other people. But they also see you as calm and approachable as well. They think that you do try to be fair for the most part, that you're emotionally mature and you're not swayed by drama, like you're not easily swayed in general. And I feel like that's what I was trying to convey earlier. Like they perceive you as someone that's not easily swayed, but at the same time, like they don't perceive you as confrontational when someone does try to sway you, or when you are met with opinions that are different from your own, or in situations that aren't familiar, if that makes sense, that you kind of just maybe go along with certain things anyway. But yeah, anyway, moving on from that. they um they do perceive you as someone that does try to lead with logic for the most part, but at the same time, like they do perceive you as impulsive at times. So I'm not sure if I said this before, but they also perceive you as someone that's not swayed by, drama. They could think that you kind of stay out of it. They do perceive you as possessive, and protective of the people that you love. But for some of you, they could perceive you as possessive in other ways, though. But when I say possessive, I don't mean it in like a jealous kind of way. It feels more in an exclusive kind of way, like maybe they think you're someone that kind of exclusively gives certain people, affection, like there's certain people that they think you, maybe there's certain people that you take more seriously than others, not in a negative way. But yeah. Like attentive, that is maybe a better word. Like you're more attentive when it comes to certain people, but to them it could be perceived as possessive, even though they don't necessarily see it as a negative thing. But anyways, moving on from that, they also perceive you as someone they really respect. They do see you as emotionally reserved, not necessarily reserved in general, maybe just when it comes to, emotions, or just kind of showing that more emotional, reactive, or vulnerable side. They see you as loyal and resistant. They see you as loyal and resilient. For some of you, they do perceive you as strategic at times and thoughtful when it comes to them and in your relationships in general. They perceive you as someone that does challenge others in a good way, maybe in ways that are uncomfortable as well, but ultimately in good ways. So they do see you as someone that holds themselves together quite nicely, whether that's physical appearance or again, just in terms of your emotional control. Like for some of you, they could perceive you as quite stoic, but they kind of see it as a beautiful thing, like the way you carry yourself. But again, for some of you, it could be in terms of physical appearance as well. Actually, for a lot of you here, it could be about physical appearance as well as, how you carry yourself, in terms of like your character and how you move through life. But they also perceive you as someone that is able to navigate complicated situations. They think that there are a few people, maybe a select few people, or maybe even actually quite a lot of people who possibly connect with you on a soul level, even if you don't necessarily connect with these people or other people on a soul level, but they kind of recognize the connection that other people have to you. Like they perceive you as emotionally and mentally magnetic. They see you as emotionally safe, not only for them, but for other people as well. They see you as someone who makes them feel understood, seen, and accepted, that you do tend to bring clarity and depth to certain situations. They see you as someone that they are very proud of, proud to love, proud to be connected to, proud to be around. And for a lot of you, they see you as a mirror almost, and they also see you as someone they were destined to connect with. They see you as a true partner in many walks of life, whether that be in many walks of life. So it feels like it's not limited to one area, in love, in relationships, in friendships, in work, in relatives. Like they see you as an awesome partner to other people and maybe to them as well, depending on your relationship with them. And for a lot of you, depending on who you're asking about, but they see you as more than just romantic interest. For those of you asking about that kind of connection, they see you as more than just romantic interest. They see you as an interesting in a lot of different ways, not only romantically. And they also perceive you as someone that does work well with people, someone that others like to work with as well. So at times they do perceive you as someone that doesn't always meet people halfway, that you're not going to try and meet someone halfway if disagree with them. That doesn't mean you're going to be confrontational or anything like that. But yeah, they perceive you as someone that's not going to, always compromise. They do see you as someone that they want to make more effort with. But they also feel that there needs to be mutual effort between you guys. They do perceive you as emotionally distant at times. Sometimes that you struggle with emotional teamwork. Like they feel like you're great at teamwork, but maybe when it comes to um, emotional stuff, that is where the teamwork kind of not ends, like maybe not ends like abruptly, but just, it's just not as strong as your teamwork in other regards. So for some of you, they could, even though they do perceive you as like very intelligent and someone that is very, stimulating emotionally and mentally, they also feel that sometimes conversations are too unclear, maybe even a bit like surface level. They also feel that you don't feel completely understood by them, maybe people in general. And for some of you, they could also perceive you as not being, heavily emotionally invested in them. Could be other things as well, other people. and they they see you as someone that's not always expressive. For some of you, they could see there being like an emotional imbalance between you two. And this could be in terms of like an effort, you know, and like exchanging effort with each other, that there could be an imbalance when it comes to that. And for some of you, they could perceive you as someone that doesn't always express appreciation, and that you may have ego clashes with some people, but again, like they don't necessarily perceive you as someone that's driven by ego. It's just that they feel or have seen you have those kind of clashes. And for some of you, they could also perceive you as not giving them a lot of attention or recognition. But yeah. So moving forward, we have elevator, rise above. We have color, express your true feelings. We have balanced life. Step away. Balanced life, sensitive emotions, and own your divine power. So with color, express your true feelings. They do perceive you as expressive, just not maybe emotionally expressive for some of you guys. And they also perceive you as someone that is colorful, that is vibrant. Like you could wear black head to toe every single day, but they still perceive you as someone that is like a vibrant person, like very magnetic in a lot of different ways. And with own your divine power. So for some of you, they could actually perceive you as quite codependent with someone in your life. Maybe even like a few different people in your life, but they don't see it in a way where it kind of takes away from your personal power. Like they still perceive you as assertive. And here it says replace codependence with people and people pleasing with assertiveness and empowerment. But they don't, even though they kind of see you as being codependent with some people or having like a very strong intimate relationship with certain people, they also don't perceive you as someone that is a people pleaser, you know. And with balanced life, they do perceive you as having a very balanced life, but also being very balanced within yourself. With sensitive emotions, they perceive you as someone that isn't super sensitive emotionally, and maybe you're not super sensitive when it comes to other people's emotions. And with elevator, it says rise above. They do perceive you as someone that is able to rise above certain things most of the time, you know. But yeah, that is all I have for those of you who chose this group. I hope it could be helpful and make sense. I'm wishing you the best. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Please take care. Bye. Hey, welcome. If you've chosen the third group, then this reading could be for you. I hope you are doing okay. Thank you so much for joining me. So the person on your mind or people, how do they perceive you at the moment? Okay, so to start off, we have the Temperance card in reverse, the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, and the Page of Swords upright. So they do perceive you as hard to read. they could also see you as someone that can be extreme, or like, or for some of you, a part of extreme situations. But you see how like there's like, two ends, and one end could be an extreme, the other end is an extreme, and in the middle is kind of just like, the kind of gray area. They could perceive you as being on the extreme end of something, okay? Or again, wrapped up in extreme situations, or maybe a situation right now, or maybe in the recent past. But yeah, they see you as someone who does tend to be impulsive at times, as someone that is passionate though. They could also perceive you as like, they feel that there's a conflict between who you are on the inside or in private with the people you're closest to, and who you present yourself as. They feel like there's a conflict between who you are on the inside and who you are, externally. And not only externally, but like certain actions that you choose to take, they feel is very different from what you would do if you were in private, or with people you're closest to. So they do feel there is a conflict there. They also perceive you as being out of sync with them and all the people around you. And they also perceive you as someone that does things that isn't in sync with your values, And they think you rarely compromise, and they could also perceive you as a bit selfish at times in their perspective. But they also perceive you as quite magnetic. But they think that you're still trying to figure out how to integrate opposing parts of yourself, and again, that could come back to that conflict that they perceive you as experiencing. And they also perceive you as someone that sometimes does things without full clarity, that you do tend to move quickly, like reactive. They could also perceive you as quite reactive as well. And they also think that you have a lot of triggers. And they think that you're still figuring things out in some area of your life. Maybe in terms of work or purpose. But they do perceive you as someone they're drawn to, and they're particularly drawn to your intensity. They perceive you as moving toward an unconventional path. They think that you're not tied to tradition or family expectations, or it's just not a strong, force behind those things. They could perceive you as not having much stability at the moment. They could think that you do value your freedom over, conforming in certain ways. Like, they do perceive you as more concerned with the present or short term. But they do perceive you as still focused on your foundation, even if they see that as a little shaky. But they perceive you as someone that generally does push back against certain norms, They also perceive you as not being focused on the material aspect of things as well. And they feel that you don't define success in conventional terms. Like, what's successful to you could be very different to how maybe, the general population perceive success, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing at all. And they could also think that you don't really care about belonging, maybe in general or in a particular environment, with a group of people, with a certain group of people, that you don't really care about belonging or like trying to fit in, that you don't really care, that you stand out. And yeah, they perceive you as someone that's not outdated. And the reason they perceive you as someone that's not outdated is because you are engaging with like the present and like the world around you. You're curious in their opinion as well. They also perceive you as someone that evolves or has evolved. They could think that you're up to date with certain things. For some of you, they could think that you speak modern. I don't know what that means, but like you speak maybe how people typically speak these days. I don't know, but yeah, like you speak in a way that would resonate with like this generation, if that makes sense. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Anyways, moving on. But yeah, they perceive you as someone that's not outdated. They perceive you as aware and sharp. They think that you're smart and intellectual. And they also see you as someone that does engage before observing at times. But they perceive you as someone that they themselves are observing of. They do think you ask thoughtful questions. They do perceive you as someone that does test the waters before opening up with certain people or within certain environments. It could be with them specifically, actually. But yeah, they perceive you as someone that doesn't typically make assumptions. They feel that you're not easily swayed either. They could think that you're not the most expressive person emotionally. Maybe they perceive you as quite expressive in other ways, like they do see you as quite passionate, maybe just not emotionally so. And they also perceive you as very good at articulating more complex thoughts. And they also perceive you as someone that does need to understand something before committing to it. But yeah. So moving forward, we have car, get into the driver's seat of your life. We have cat, take care of yourself, trust that if you do, you'll always land on your feet. We have drunk with love. We have spiritual or religious community. And we also have divine intervention. Okay, so with spiritual or religious community, join with like-minded people for friendship and increased spiritual growth. They perceive you as having very unique perspectives, thoughts and views and stuff like that. That they perceive you as needing to find people who are like similar minded to you, like connect with people who are more on your wavelength. So that's something that they think could be good for you, or whatever it may be. And with car, get into the driver's seat of your life, they perceive you as not having a lot of control over your path, or maybe they perceive you as, let me see, or they perceive you as like not having a lot of direction at the moment. even though they do think that you're trying to, gain control of your life, or trying to find direction, um, but they still think that's something that you might need to work on in their perspective. So with Drunk with Love, it says, let love lift you to freedom, and they do perceive you as someone that needs or wants their freedom. With divine intervention, like for some of you here, like they do perceive you as needing divine intervention in some way. And for some of you, it's because they do perceive you as kind of going through a lot, maybe being quite overwhelmed. So they could feel that you need, you know, help with that, like more help than they're able to give you. And maybe they feel like divine intervention will give you that help that you need. So yeah. And finally, with Cat, they do perceive you as not needing to take care of yourself, but trying to take care of yourself. And they also perceive you as trusting yourself as well. So even if they perceive everything as not being perfect, they perceive you as having, trust and maybe faith in yourself, regardless of circumstance. But that is all I have for those of you who chose this group. I do hope it could be helpful. I'm wishing you the best. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Please take care. Bye.